How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
Good, good. I am doing all right. I'm excited to do this episode. I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to ask you about questions, like ask you questions about marketing. And this is gonna
Yes,
be fun because I think marketing's super interesting. So I'm really excited about this. I'm
yes.
Shani.
I'm Miranda, and this is part two of our Business 101 series. Um, Episode like 54, I
Yes,
think.
before.
54, part two of our Business 101. So check out our first Business 101 episode in any of your streaming platforms to get a glimpse into a little bit about what we're talking about today and our future series episodes. There we go.
There you go. You got it. Alrighty. So I guess I just we in our last episode we talked about why you got into marketing and sort of like how you got there and why you chose it.
Yeah.
And in this episode, I guess we're going to get into in-depth details, all that fun stuff within marketing. So, I guess
Yeah.
first question is like, do you have a favorite strategy within like any marketing?
Oh, we're stepping over. Wait, should I go like do a little bit more about my marketing experience, or should I jump into that?
Either or, go for it. You can do.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a little bit of background first. So, I decided my major last year, but obviously I did talk about a little bit about why I chose business, and it was because in high school I was in a volunteering club where I organized all the meetings, I advertised for the club, I contacted outside resources to get them to be affiliated with the club or to get volunteer opportunities. That was when I realized business was the best way for me to combine my love for helping people with like actual skills that I have. Um, and so I went and I thought I would be a marketing major when I went in freshman year because I thought it was more entertaining. I thought it was more creative. But I wanted to double check, so I tried out different classes. Our first class that was like overall class was FBE, which is a first year business experience where you basically design a product. You don't actually make the product until second semester where you make a completely different product. And first semester I was the like CEO of the or like makeshift team, and then second semester I was the creative design officer, so I designed the website, I ran the social media. This was kind of the first thing that made me certain that marketing was actually the way I want to go. Then I declared my major, took some marketing classes, and now I have a marketing internship at a nonprofit in Bloomington, Boys and Girls Club, which, by the way, I'm going to try to see if we can get the CEO on a future episode. So keep your ears and eyes out for that one. And that's my general marketing experience. Sorry, I wanted to cover that. What was your actual question?
Well, I guess we went over like your experience with like marketing and like how you got into that. So like, what's
Mhm.
your like, what have you learned that about marketing that like you really like to apply or learned about within marketing, like a strategy or something like that?
Marketing is interesting for me because for a lot of people, it doesn't come easy. And I mean, it doesn't, I'm not saying it comes easy for me, but I took a marketing class in high school. So I learned a lot of the basics like SWOT, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, the, the, the five P's or whatever, place, price, promotion. What was the fourth one?
I was it like product? Was it like was
Product.
like one of them?
The product. That's important. Um, I learned all that in high school. And so the first gist of marketing classes were relatively easy for me because I knew the general information and it just makes sense. Marketing just makes sense to me because I'm like, yes, you need to do this thing in order to like, you need to know your target audience in order to convey the best product, right? Like that just makes sense to me. So I did pretty well in my few marketing classes. Marketing also, you really it's very different, the class versus the hands-on experience. I think a lot of majors you do need to do hands-on experience, and I think marketing is even more so because you could learn about how social media is important to marketing and like some of the strategies people use, but actually implementing it completely different. Like we talked about like Facebook in my marketing class, and Facebook is not really as popular anymore. it's like TikTok now, and you have to work on actually figuring out what works, which is fun because, marketing for our podcast is my first like real experience with it. So
Yeah, no, I am not that great at marketing. I don't have the patience for it. So like, I love the creative side of it. It's really really cool. So like, I totally get how like the actually doing it is different from learning it, for learning about it. Because like learning about it to me is just so interesting. But when I actually like have to do work, then I'm like, don't want to do that because it's like time consuming and like it's like a full time job. Like you have to like figure out all these social media platforms and stuff like that. And it's just like really cool how you can manage all that all at once. Also, I did not know the SWOT analysis was a marketing subject too, because I've used that within
yeah,
finance, and I thought that was like a finance thing, but I guess it's marketing too. But that makes sense.
I think
Like, you would
you
have.
do it with, I think finance would be a focus of it.
Mhm.
Like marketing, you almost do more general SWOT analysis. So like you could say like your strength, your weakness is that you don't have a bunch of revenue coming in or something.
Mhm.
And that could be one of your weaknesses, but another could be that there are, oh wait, no, that'd be a threat. Another could be that you don't have every single social media platform. And both of those are going to make up the marketing SWOT. And the revenue one might just make up the finance SWOT. But maybe I'm wrong.
Got you. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think the SWOT analysis is just like an analysis tool to like figure out what you
Yeah.
need to do and stuff like that. That's really cool. Yeah. So like you said you were working on like some projects within like school. Like what kind of project did you do and like what did you have to do?
So there's the first year business experience where basically at Butler, I want to preface that for anyone who is looking at a university, I obviously recommend Butler. And this experience was almost like a Shark Tank type thing where you would come up with an idea and then you would present the idea to faculty and actual real life investors. And so you were put in groups. This was the first class most people took freshman year, the very first business class. And you learned general business concepts in a business introduction book, like Business 101. And then the second half of the semester, or throughout the semester, depending on what teacher you had a business concept. So we were faced with a problem, and the problem was security. And everyone was divided into groups, and we got to design basically any product we wanted to. And we made the mission statement, all the financing, not all the financing, a lot of the financing was planned out. The supply chain management was planned out. The marketing concept, the design, all of that. And then we planned everything out, and then we presented it as like a Shark Tank thing. And basically we got reviews, and then one person won the whole, or one group won the whole competition. And then second semester, we did basically the same thing. We designed whatever product. There wasn't as much of a rule about a certain industry, but we designed a product, and this time we actually sold said product. So we had to get a website, we had to get the product, we had to design it, we had to produce it. And then we sold it. And then each company actually made real profits. Unfortunately, this was during COVID, so my group only got about $20 each, but that's still something. So, yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah, it's really cool programs.
Mm. So what do you think is like what was like the most difficult part of it for you, do you think?
Okay, so second semester, COVID, obviously, but besides COVID, we had a little bit of conflicts between our group because myself and a few other group members had opposing opinions on what the product should be. And we had a tough time reaching an agreement because some of us were more stubborn than others and didn't want to let go of our own ideas or acknowledge that maybe our ideas were wrong or other ideas were better. And there's also, yeah, that was basically one of the issues, and we eventually got through it, and we realized we compromised. And we kind of didn't. we didn't work super as a team. Like we did all our works because we all wanted to get it done, but we didn't have a huge cohesiveness. But again, we eventually figured it out. Most of us ended up working together and we got the presentation done. We got decent grades in the class and we got the business finished. So it just taught us a lot about, letting go of our egos and, being sympathetic to other people's ideas and yada, yada, yada. So on and so forth.
Got you. In your opinion, like, what do you think is like the best, like, I guess, trait to have as a marketing manager?
As a marketing, I think marketing requires a lot of creativity, personally. And obviously different aspects of what field of marketing you go into. Social media marketing, creative. Like you have to be so creative to have different posts that are completely different and you're repeating the same thing over and over again. And like with our social media, I'm trying to actually market our episodes now instead of just posting things that are about my life. Because posting things about my life is so much easier, but it's not marketing. And it's not really creative because I was just like, I did Just Dance today, and now I'm like, here's these things that we're talking about. What do you want to hear? Patreon page, that kind of stuff. And then I guess the second one going hands in hand with that. Not sure how to describe it. I would say obviously intelligence, but knowing your market, like understanding what your market is and knowing how to target them is obviously that's what marketing really is. You got to know who you're targeting and how to do so. Like at the nonprofit I work at, I'm interning at, a lot of our audience is Facebook users because generally we target middle-aged, older, because they have the expendable income is what the nonprofit word is, expendable income to donate to nonprofits. We're not going to target 20-year-olds. I mean, there are some 20-year-olds who have extra expenditure, but there's going to be more older generations. So Facebook is more preferable over TikTok. So, yeah.
This is like a personal question, but do you have like a audience that you like to market to? Like, do you like marketing to like the older generation or like people in our generation or younger generation? Do you think you're better at, using your strategies and your skills for specific targeted audiences?
That's a good question. With our podcast and even our music accounts, we don't really have a niche target market. We kind of target everyone. Um, so I don't have much experience targeting a lot of different groups, but from my reasonable estimations, I would say it would be easier to target middle-aged because they have social media platforms. They're not old enough to just read newspapers, so it's really easy to reach them. But they aren't so young that I think our generation and younger, it's like the overwhelming effect where we are targeted with so many advertisements that we see things that we like, but we never actually act on it as much. And then also we don't have expendable income, so it's better to target people who are a little bit older. Yeah.
That's like a really interesting point, like that you bring that up, because like I come across so many ads every single day, and I'm like, oh, I had something like that, or like I don't need that, or like I see like plenty of ads like this all the time. Like there could be better options out there, whereas like relatives that I have will see something and be like, I have to get this like right now. We're not gonna find anything else like this again. And it's like really funny how that works. And I'll be like, they might be scamming you. Like, there might be a better option here. Like, it's interesting how that works. Like, wow. Yeah. And oh, sorry, go ahead.
I would say, like, obviously, if you're a good marketer, you are also concerned with the individual, and it's not. There's like the 4 orientations of marketing, right? Sales, products, market, society. If you're good, like in our time frame that we live in right now, our society, if you're a good marketer, you aren't trying to just sell product. You aren't like trying to scam people. You're trying to like actually connect them with what they want or better our society. But
Mhm.
obviously there's also corporations that do try to just make dollars like clickbait and whatnot. Sorry, continue what you were saying, but I just wanted to add that.
No, 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 you're totally fine. I have a follow-up question to that actually. Do you have any like, I guess like favorite companies that like have used marketing strategies that like you really enjoy or like you think are like how every company should be marketing? Like you were talking about them just marketing, wanting to like impact people's lives
Yeah,
for the sake of marketing.
we talked about one in one of my marketing classes actually. What's the? I don't remember what the brand's actually called. It's a Coke company. It's like Pantanega or
Oh, Patagonia or something like that, or I
yeah.
know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Our marketing professor introduced, like I had ideas about the company. I vaguely knew about it, but our marketing professor introduced to us all their mission statement.
Mhm.
So this company, it's really cool how they do their marketing because their goal is a society. They are a society oriented organization. So they have quotes on their website that literally say, do not buy unless you really, really need it because it's made out of animal fur or something like that. So they encourage people to not spend money on it unless they need it because they want to help the environment, but they also want to make the product available to someone, which is really cool to me. That they actually are telling people not to buy their products because they care about the environment so much. And I think there's a lot more industries and companies I think that are starting to do this now because our generation cares so much about this, about actually being ethical. I mean, obviously, there's people in our generation who don't. And, corporations like Amazon are still thriving and will continue to thrive for a while. But also, Amazon started stuff like helping small businesses because our generation cares so much about the ethics that if a business is unethical, the capitalistic society does actually turn away from it, and our generation does turn away from it, which is really cool to me because in previous generations that wasn't the case. Yeah, sorry, tangent.
No, no, that's like a really good point. It's just like really interesting to see how like our markets change and evolve, like based on like what's going on in society and different generations care about different things, and that's always like really interesting to look at. Like, I don't know, I just like had like a sort of like existential crisis sort of thing where I was like, maybe in the future, like my job won't be a thing anymore, like because it changes so often. So like that's really cool how like marketing changes like that too.
I definitely think a financial advising job is always going to be relevant.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I have like thoughts on that just because like, what if like they like use like artificial intelligence to take care of
I mean, yeah,
like
artificial intelligence probably can predict it, but there's always like a human element to finances.
yeah, that's the main argument. Like people want like an actual like face to like, manage their money. So that's a thing.
Yeah.
Um I guess another flip side to the question I asked earlier, are there marketing strategies that you've seen that you absolutely like hate? Like you just don't support them?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, it's honestly, there's two things. The first one I'm going to say is really, really, really tied to the ethical thing. I do think when we run into, actually, this isn't something I hate, but I do think it's something that we need to be aware of and look closely at. When we run into the ethical thing, there are some companies that kind of pretend to be ethical, but actually aren't. And as consumers, we need to be wary of it and look critically at that and make sure they're actually being ethical. Like corporations like Tom's Shoes. So a lot of people, there are good ethical things that they do, but a lot of people don't recognize sometimes when they donate shoes to places that are impoverished, they actually are getting people out of jobs who had previously been making shoes. So it actually doesn't always help their economy. If they have an ethical intention, that's great. But if they're doing it just to be able to sell more shoes, that's not great. And we need to educate ourselves to make sure we understand that there's more to it than just pretending to be ethical. because obviously this corporation, I'm sure someone's brought this issue up to them because I've talked about it in multiple classes. I'm sure someone's brought this issue up to them, and obviously either they've evaluated it and realized, hey, this is still a good thing, which is great because I haven't researched enough to know if they've done that, or they've decided, still worth it to us. So, like, again, we have to be critical. Obviously, there's always two sides of the story. Everything is going to hurt someone and help others. We just have to be sure to, you know, help the people who actually need it. Which is literally business ethics. That's everything about business ethics. Which is similar to the thing that I don't like the sales oriented or sales oriented. I'm okay with the production oriented, honestly, because that's just doing what you're good at. But I'm not a huge fan of the sales oriented marketing, which is something we have gone away from a lot. And it's kind of, it's different depending on who you are. There are people who do it in a good way that I think is more ethical, but there are also the type that is like just trying to sell and not caring if you need it, not caring if it's good, not caring about yada yada. Like, I can't think of any really good company examples.
I have one, but like I don't know if it's like related to what your
Go for it.
this is going, but like yesterday actually I ran into like an ad while I was at Universal Studios, and it was just advertising like, you know, the candy store, and it was just like this woman carrying a bowl of salad looking really sad, but then right below it was a bowl like a woman, the same woman, holding a bowl of just a bunch of candy and being really happy about it. I was like,
That's
that
fine.
could be really harmful for like, you know, a lot of us, especially with like, you know, obesity being really high in the US and like, you know, diabetes. Like, is that not a thing anymore? Like, oh my,
Right. Yeah.
but yeah,
That's,
yeah,
yeah, because he's literally just trying to sell and not caring about the consumer. That's a good example. Yeah.
yeah. It's
Um,
crazy how they still have that.
I have another example of something I don't like. Sorry. There's planned product failure.
Mm,
This is something that, of all the three things, because I couldn't think of things that I really disliked, so I just made up stuff. I mean, not made up. It's real stuff that I don't like. But this is something I strongly hate. Companies purposely plan for their product to fail. Apple, for example, plans for their chargers to stop working or their iPhone 4 to stop working once they have iPhone 5. Um, this obviously is a very smart tactic. It makes them a lot of profit. It shows that their company is getting better. It all of those things. But I do think it's a little manipulative of consumers, and I do think it's kind of a waste of money. If you can make, they can make a phone that works forever, but they choose not to because marketing profits. So I get it from a business perspective, but it's also frustrated me from an ethical and consumer perspective.
mm.
Sorry, that was a lot. Those are my three things I don't like.
Okay, okay. No, that's really cool. I mean, like that makes a lot of sense ethically. Yeah, and just, that makes a lot of sense. I have another question. I've gotten this question a lot within just like my first like two marketing classes. But do you believe marketing is an art or science or both?
That's interesting. Hmm. Um, I feel like both is just a cheap answer. Um, I think it's more an art than it is a science. I think you have to know the science before you can start on the art.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think the art is what makes it good, you know? So, like, you can have a decent marketer, like across the board, right? Everyone does X, Y, and Z
Mm-hmm.
because that is what they need to do to attract their target market.
Mm-hmm.
But you have a best company or a better company by adding artistic flair. Because if we have three products that are the exact same, no one's gonna care. So
Hmm.
that's my answer.
Thing because I wrote an entire paper on the other side of the argument. But like,
Really?
yeah, no, but like the entire class was split on it. Some people argued art, some people argued science because we weren't allowed to pick both. So they made us pick, and
Well, I kind of picked both. I said both are
yeah, no,
necessary.
I
So
would totally pick both too because I think it's a combination of both. But I think I was leaning a little more towards science because I was thinking from like the perspective of like, like how artists have. There's a lot of great artists out there who have amazing art, but it's not, it's because it's not marketed well and they don't have the strategy to get it out to like a bunch of people.
fair.
They don't, they don't get the exposure they
Yeah,
need to be
I
successful.
think I think you can't succeed if you don't have the science behind it.
Mm-hmm.
But I once you have the science,
Mm-hmm.
you become the best product you can be with the art.
Got you.
You know?
Yeah, no, I agree. No, I definitely agree. I leaned more towards science for the paper, but like I agree. Yeah, I think the artistic element can be overlooked for a lot of things, and it's like if you get that down right, it should come easy to you really after that, and it should be easier to market anyway if you have a good product and good
Right.
marketing. So it just depends on what you're marketing anyway. But yeah, we're coming down to our final minute, so I'm gonna ask you.
Already? Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, crazy.
This is cool.
Like, what would you recommend to people who are interested in getting into marketing? Like, what would you
Yeah.
have them prepare to do?
Okay, so if you are at a university, obviously just like take some marketing classes, take some advertising classes if you're non-business major, because advertising goes hand in hand with marketing. Advertising is actually slightly more in the creative realm than marketing. Super fun, super cool. I'm gonna take some advertising classes at some point so that I can get in that direction a little bit too. If you are outside of university, outside of school in general, if you, I would just say start with your social media accounts. See if you can edit your social media accounts and make it more marketing, get more, I don't want to say influencer, be an influencer, gross. But like try out, see what things work, see what you enjoy doing. And obviously, if you're in a profession, you can add some marketing to your work. I mean, it just depends on what job you have, but there's always something you could do. I work at Kohl's outside of the internship, and we sell charge cards. Not sell charge cards, that's gross. But we sign up people for charge cards, which are the payment cards that you use, and you get some discounts for using them, yada, yada. But we market them as cashiers. We market them to the customers and tell them, I personally market them with a market orientation. I'm trying to actually help them benefit. Some people market them as like a sales thing, like just get the numbers up. So you work on your marketing skills doing stuff like that, and you can do it, in other industries. I think that is the thoughts I had. Sorry. I think there's more there, but I lost it.
No, you're
I would
fine.
just say try out different things. Check out different apps. I can share some apps via Instagram this week, like Canva and other things that I use to try some new marketing tactics. I can share some tips and stuff like that. But
Sure. Just curious. Do you have any like, I guess, people that like podcasts, other maybe podcasts, or like books or resources that you use to like help you with any like marketing tools or like techniques, or do you just like look anything up?
yeah, I do. Okay. I look to other podcasts more for the artsy side of marketing, like things that they do really well that I think could help our podcast, for example. Like the other night, I texted you about Girls Night on Wine. I'll have to tag them in this when we post about this, about their video and how I thought the marketing was really cool about how they edited their YouTube video. Feel free to check them out, by the way, guys. They're really good. But and then at Boys and Girls Club, I check out previous Instagram posts that they've done, and I check out different tools on Canva that I like. And then obviously at Butler, I'm in a marketing class. I talked to my marketing professor. She helps me with a lot. And we did like case studies. And so we looked into like how other companies have marketed. My dad is a sales manager, so that helps. I do, yeah.
No, that's a great answer. No, thank you for that. No, that's awesome. Marketing is super cool. And if you guys have any questions, please reach out, and Miranda will be happy to help you with
Oh,
anything.
yeah.
And I will also say that I absolutely love Canva. We're not sponsored or anything, but if you guys want like some sort of tool, Canva, it's great. I love it so much. I don't know. I just had to say that because it's just such a great tool. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Do you have any final words, Miranda?
Yeah. Obviously, stay tuned for episode 3. Shivani's, we're going to switch it over to Shivani talking about her major a little bit. So it's not just an interview with me. I swear, you guys don't just have to hear my voice all the time. Um, and then sign up for our Patreon page. You can get a schedule of all of our episodes of the business series. And I'm going to try to post some like bloopers and fun stuff like that on there. That is all I got to say. If you want to do your little spiel.
Yeah, that's about it. So if you guys want to reach out to us with any questions, comments, or concerns, you can email us at farfromnormalpodcast2020 at gmail.com. We have an Instagram at farfromnormalpodcast, and we also have a Google survey in the Instagram, so you can put any of your questions, comments, or concerns in there as well, and it's all anonymous and it's super cool. Engage with us on Instagram. We love talking to you guys, and like and subscribe on YouTube. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Love you guys.